We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become?
Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
Drink it in, man.
Deep left side carry on. Picks on the block. At the 5. At the 2. At the 1 to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Drink it in, man.
Get up, Stafford throws. It is end zone. Caught! Oh, baby, what a catch! Kenny Galladay, you're a freak! What a catch! Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Cornbread! I love the Lions! Say it with me! I love the Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Good Friday, everybody, and this is the Detroit Koolaid coming to you here on this great week, end of the week on Friday morning. It's nice to be back talking to you guys. This is Griff coming at you, and just want to touch base on a few things here before we get started. Once again, it is Friday, so everybody knows how it goes. Start off with the weather report. Not quite sure what happened. It was so beautiful earlier this week here in the state of Michigan, but the last couple of days have been cold and rainy again. Once again, this weekend for the holiday, the Easter weekend, it's going to be a little chillier than it was earlier this week. A chance of rain both days, but anybody being able to get outside, maybe with your family, just to maybe do like a yard Easter egg hunt, something like that. Just keep in mind, you might have to put a sweatshirt on to be able to do that because it will be a little chilly, and maybe a few sprinkles here and there. Other than that, TGIF. Just a couple things I want to jump into here really quick before we get into the meat of the cast here. First thing, I just want to touch base on this. I know Derek likes to call it the sport we do not speak of, but that is just want to give a quick goodbye to former Detroit Tiger Al Kaline. I realize it is baseball, but still, he was a Detroit icon, a real class act. One of those guys I've never heard a bad word said about him. My dad would talk about how great he was when he played. I remember him from when being a kid and listening to him and George Kell call games on television. So that's all I want to say is, Al Kaline, I've heard a lot of great stories about you from people, and you were a great person for the city of Detroit and a great ambassador for the Detroit Tigers, so you will be missed. So I just want to get that out of the way. One thing I want to touch base with here again is I was watching NFL Network earlier this week, and they did their top 10, how they love to do that. And they were doing the Mount Rushmores of teams. So naturally, being the Lions, they weren't in part of the top 10. So it made me think, who would be on my Detroit Lions Mount Rushmore? Now, this would be from every player that I can think of all time, hearing stories from my family, my uncles, my grandparents, my dad telling me, old players that were great, me seeing some of my own. The four I would put on my Mount Rushmore would once again be Barry Sanders, Lem Barney, Joe Schmidt, and Bobby Lane. And when I thought about that, I thought it was kind of sad how, like, my quarterback I took is actually from the 50s. I mean, yeah, Matt Stafford's here now. A lot of people would look at his stats and, say, yeah, he deserves to be on there. And there's a lot of other great lines that I've seen that I've actually thought about, maybe I can put that guy on there. But I don't think any other ones I was thinking of, such as a Chris Spielman, Calvin Johnson. I know Derek has a bad taste in his mouth from Calvin Johnson, but I'm a big fan of Doug English when he played here as well. He had a shortened career due to an injury. Charlie Sanders, Hall of Fame tight end. I mean, Billy Sims was here. Billy Sims was a great running back once again. Injuries cut him short. Everybody knows Darius Slay. How can I not have him on the Mount Rushmore? Simply because, I did shake his hand. So everybody thought I'd be on here. But still, I don't think he's better than Lem Barney. So Lem Barney definitely deserves to be there. A few other guys, and Dominic and Sue as well. Some people would, think of him. The Lions have had many, they have 14, 15 Hall of Famers, a lot of them from their glory days of the 50s. Obviously, the 80s were kind of thin. Lomas Brown was there. I mean, some people might want to say him, probably the best, could be the best tackle to ever play on the Lions. But still, I mean, I was pretty happy with, there's debates about it, but, Barry Sanders, probably the greatest, running back, obviously, for the team and maybe of all time in the NFL. Lem Barney, probably the best defensive back ever to play for the Detroit Lions. Joe Schmidt, is probably one of the top 5 middle linebackers ever to play the game. I don't think he gets enough love. I think a lot of it goes to, like, those Steelers linebackers, like Jack Ham, Jack Lambert. Ray Lewis gets a lot more now. Dick Butkus, obviously, Ray Nitschke, but still, Joe Schmidt was one of those studs of the Lions defenses. And then Bobby Lane. I mean, really, he's probably the best quarterback to play. We're still, a lot of people say, still living with the curse of Bobby Lane, even though 50 years has been up for a little bit now. So, like I said, think about it. Put your own out there. I mean, hit me up on Twitter at GrifkaDKC if you want to leave yours out there. If you think mine is missing somebody, or you can remove somebody and put somebody else on there. Alex Karras, he was out there too, was another guy I thought of. But with who I got, I'm pretty happy about that. I mean, you could put your favorites of who you've seen play. I know I've seen a lot of great Lions play as well. Robert Porcher, he's another guy that a lot of people like, that people want to put on there. Benny Blades, probably one of my favorite Lions of all time. So yeah, think about it. Hit me up on Twitter, or feel free to call in the call-in line at 989-272-3484. Once again, it's 989-272. Kevin Smith, Herman Moore, as Derek would like to put it. Once again, I'm a digit guy, so once again, 989-272-3484. You can text that in, call it in. Who's on your Detroit Lions Mount Rushmore? I know there's a lot of other teams, and some people just think it's the Lions. They don't measure up, but the Lions have had a lot of great players if you really go back and look at it. And you can really think about, the way this team has been over the years, even since they've started. They have had a lot of great players walk through that door. So before I get into the meat of this, why don't we take a pause for the cause, and once again, listen to our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become? Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Once again, everybody, thank you for listening to that and using our sponsors. One thing I did today is I did a mock draft. I didn't post it anywhere. I just went through and did one really quick, and my draft is based on no trades. So this would be all the Lions picks, what they have, not trading down, what I thought they might do, guys that may be interested in, who I might be interested in. I'll name the pick, and once again, a few good, bad things about them, and we'll go from there. I know a few people want to critique this and go from either like what I have or don't like what I have, and that's fine. Once again, hit me up in Twitter at GrifkaDKC. That's at GrifkaDKC. Let me know what you think about that. So, with that being said, staying at the number 3 pick. The first pick I took at number 3 was Jeff Okudah. Once again, out of Ohio State, 6'2", 190 pounds, runs a 4.48 40. I think that's who the Lions are going to be leaning towards, simply because of all of the linebackers that they've signed. I know me and Derek have talked about this on a previous show, and that is a pretty full linebacker room right now. I'm a big fan of Isaiah Simmons, like Derek is, and I think Derek Simmons is more versatile, and I think he can play an awful lot of positions. But I think right now, with what the Lions have done, I see them leaning towards, Okudah if he's sitting there, especially if Chase Young is gone and one of the quarterbacks is taken by Cincinnati without the trade out. Okudah's got good size. He's good on the press. And the Lions seem to play that press man defense, so he's good at that. And from watching his tape, he seems to really be a ball hawk. He has a nose for the ball, getting interceptions, knocking the balls down, making plays. He likes to stick his nose in there and make tackles as well. One thing he hasn't, not as good at, he's not as good in zone coverage. Sometimes he doesn't trust his eyes, I guess, for lack of a better term. He seems to get when he's looking around the field a lot, he can play a little more of a. He'll have a little more paralysis by analysis in his zone coverage. He seems like when he's doing press man on man, that's where he shines, and that's what the Lions like to play. So I think Jeff Okudah's a good fit, especially at number 3. Once again, the second round pick. It's a high second round pick, and that's number 35. I went with Neville Gallimore, defensive tackle out of Oklahoma. Now he's 6'2", 330 pounds, and his 40 time is 4.79, so almost a 4.8. He's that big body defensive tackle that the Lions like. He's quick off the snap, which is really huge, especially in the NFL. We all know it. You got to be quick, especially down there, to get to any pressure up the middle to collapse the pocket, and that's one thing Neville Gallimore is really good at. And once again, this is just the way the draft fell. I wouldn't take him over other guys, but this is just how it fell on the way I did it. I thought he would be the next best defensive tackle up there. He's another high motor guy. He doesn't seem to take any plays off, and I know you guys have heard me talk about other guys, like when the Lions took Nick Fairley. He seemed to be lazy on plays. Neville Gallimore doesn't seem to have that. He's that high motor guy. Couple things that I don't think he's good at just from watching his tape. Sometimes he seems to play a little high and he can get pushed around a lot because of that. He loses his center of gravity. He gets his shoulders up too much and his feet a little too far back, and he gets pushed around a little bit. Maybe that with coaching, you can coach that out of him. I'm not for sure. Playing at Oklahoma, I mean, there's a few good teams in the Big 12, but some of the top talent's really not there. I realize it's D1 football, and you do play, your Texas and your Oklahoma State, but sometimes a little less talent. You can get by with your utter skill at that level than you can at the pro, so that might have to be coached into him, getting his pad level down. I know that's something we tend to joke about here with the Lions, getting your pad level, making sure that you got good pad level. But he does play a little high at time, but I really like how quick he is off the snap, and he seems to be a guy, like I said, high motor. He doesn't seem to take a lot of plays off. So, that pick at number 35 for the Detroit Lions. In the third round, this is pick 67. I went with Cam Akers, the running back out of Florida State. Now he's 5'11", he's 210, a little bigger, and he runs a 4.47. What I liked about Cam Akers, he seems to be a really powerful running back. He's got really quick feet for a bigger guy as well. I think he's can read the cut and go, and he'll make his one cut and go. And I really like that, which leads with his good vision. It seems like he has good vision with the running back. I know there's times where I am watching the running back, and I'll be, if he would have cut the other way, you would have gained more yardage, or you missed the hole up there. I mean, yeah, you gained 5 yards on it, but if you would have broke back the other way, you could have maybe ripped off, 10 or 15 yards. And I know in the whole scheme of a football game, that doesn't seem like much, but if you're able to pick up, a first down on a run, as opposed to going, second and mid, second and short, I would take the first down run any time of the game. So he does have good vision, to go with his quick feet, which is good. One of his knocks is that he does have some fumbleitis, though. So that's what, Lions fans, we know. We don't like running backs that fumble. Amir Abdullah. He seemed to have a little worse fumbleitis than what Cam Akers has. But sometimes you can teach guys how to hold the ball better. Maybe it's strengthen the arm, not having the 3 points on the football, things like that. But I think Cam Akers, he'll be a good fit here. One thing I do question, once again, he's powerful, he's got quick feet, but he never seems, I don't see any highlight films where he's breaking off like that 50, 60-yard touchdown run. He doesn't seem to be that house running back that Derek and I have been talking about. They don't have that guy, that breakaway guy that they've had, since Javid Best was probably the last one they had at that. Reggie Bush was that when he came out of college, but by the time he got here to Detroit, he had lost that gear, and he doesn't have that anymore. But I think Cam Akers does fit in this backfield. I know we've talked about before that maybe he's just another one of those big backs that the Lions seem to have, but I think Cam Akers is better than Bo Scarborough. So there's a definite upgrade. I would take Cam Akers over there, and that's with the 67th pick there in the third round. Now, the next pick was the first pick that we got from Philly, the third round. It's the 85th pick, and I talked about this guy in a prior show. Derek wasn't too happy with the pick. He says, all I did was watch this guy and my lazy boy. But I like Ben Bredesen, the offensive guard out of Michigan. Once again, 6'5", 310 pounds. He's a good pass blocker, which we know the Lions pass a lot. I know they're trying to establish a run game here and try to go 50-50, but he's a good pass blocker, and I believe that he's really good at picking up the blitz. From watching his video, he's good at looking at a blitz, being able to figure it out, and he doesn't seem to get confused that much on twists and stunts. He's able to pick it up, which we've all seen in the past where some of the Lions' interior line, they can get tripped up by that, and it seems like there seems to be a guy running free. And of Van Bredesen, he seems to be able to diagnose that and be able to pick that up really quick. A couple things that, once again, I remember talking about this. He's not that quick guy. He can pull, but he's going to be the guy that's going to have to blow out the defensive end on a pull, or maybe just sweep right around the corner and hit maybe the outside linebacker. He's not going to be that guy that's going to be 10, 15 yards downfield, taking out the safety or the cornerback. He's not that type of guard. He's not that fast. And sometimes he can be, if he's blocking out in space, up to the second level, if he's on a double team and he peels off that to go up and get the linebacker, or like I said, if he pulls and he's out around the edge, if he doesn't get the outside linebacker right there, the defensive end, he has a little more trouble blocking in space. He likes to play his game in the proverbial phone booth. That's where his strength is. So interior, picking up the guys right there in that tackle box. That's what he's good at. If you're asking him to go out and it's like, hey, pull around the edge, go hit the cornerback, chances are I don't think he's going to be able to do that great. He's not that great at making that block. Getting out in front of a screen pass, something like that. He might just be there to take up space as opposed to taking out one or two guys on a screen pass. That you like to see those blockers. But still, I like the Ben Bredesen pick there at number 85, and that's one of the picks that we got from Philly in the Darius Slay trade. In the fourth round, the Lions have the 109th pick, and I went with Khalid Kareem, the defensive end out of Notre Dame. Kareem, he's 6'4" and 262 pounds, so he's a little bigger defensive end. He's got good size, and he's quick and off the snap. He's real twitchy that way. And he's pretty decent at shedding blocks, with getting off either the tight end or the tackle, or if he's coming in and the running back picking him up on pass protection. He seems to be decent at getting off that block to being able to get pressure, get to the quarterback. Now, once again, Derek will make fun of me. That's what he did. He kind of knocks me just watching the games. But yes, I mean, I'm not a Notre Dame fan. I like to watch them lose, so I did watch a lot of their games as well. But Khalid Kareem, he's a local guy out of Detroit. I remember Michigan recruited him pretty hard, and he's a good player. He's got good size, and he's got that prototypical look. I mean, if you saw the guy, on the street, he's that defensive end with the prototypical size that you have. The one thing I do question at him, and I know this is another thing I get knocked on, is his stats. If he had that, he didn't have great stats, at Notre Dame. And I don't know if it was one of those things like it was a product of the defensive line that he did get, I don't want to say double team because it wasn't true double teams. They'd keep somebody in to chip them before either releasing in the pass pattern or having the running back come over and help block. But still, I mean, for his size, for his athleticism, for his speed, you think he'd put up better numbers than that. I'm not talking Chase Young numbers by any stretch of the imagination, but still, it's one of those things where it looks like you got the mold here, you got the clay. Maybe the Lions can mold him into maybe not an elite, pass rushing defensive end, but somebody who's better than Romeo Okwara. Okwara's okay, but Khalid Kareem, he's got that look where he could be better than what they have right now. So the fifth round, the 149th pick, I went with KJ Hill, the slot guy from Ohio State. I know this was another guy I talked about, me and Derek talked about on a previous show. He's 6 foot, 198 pounds, and once again, a little slower than what I thought. His 40 time was 4.6. So with everything the way it is with COVID-19 right now, they didn't have their pro day, so he's not going to be able to better that time, so he had to go with the 4.6. gosh, he just seems so much quicker than that on tape. And watching him for my lazy boy. And like Derek said, we were at the big house when, he was running, past Michigan defenders, on, just beating the pursuit angles. So 4.6 is kind of surprising to me. What I really like about KJ Hill is that he's good at catching the ball. He's got sticky hands. That little guy that can maybe train from Danny Amendola, maybe next year after Amendola leaves, KJ Hill, goes right in there simply because, he runs really good routes. He's got really good hands, and he's not afraid to go over the middle. That's one of those things you can watch tape. Some guys, they'll shy away, they'll get the proverbial gator arms, and they don't want to catch the ball. KJ Hill doesn't have that at all. It seems like Ohio State was able to scheme him a lot, where he's able to use his quickness, use his route running ability to get free and get open. And that's what I really like. So I would hope that, if the Lions were to take him, that's what they would look to do with him as well. Darrell Bevel would be able to do some schemes, kind of like they do with Amendola right now. There's some games watching last year, Amendola was wide open, nobody was on him. They could do the same thing with KJ Hill. Once again, a couple knocks on him. I know we talked about this before. He seems to have one speed. When he catches the ball, he's already at his speed. He doesn't have that second gear. And that's why I said the 4.6 is so amazing to me. That's what he ran. Maybe he just had an off day. He just seems so much quicker, but once he gets, to that speed, he doesn't have that burst to get by the pursuit angles. And we all know everybody in the pros is bigger and faster. So that might, affect him here a little more, as opposed to when he was in the Big Ten, getting around the edge and going up the sideline and being gone, where in the pros, they'll be able to catch him on that pursuit angle because he doesn't have that second gear like that. And like I just mentioned, Ohio State did a really good job of scheming him up where he'd be able to get free right off the line of scrimmage. So him being a little smaller guy, 6 foot, 198 pounds, he might have a little more trouble in the pros if they play some press against him. Now, that may happen as well. Teams are going to scheme that to see what they can do, if he can do that, if he can get off the line of scrimmage. That will be a little tougher for him, especially if he didn't face it a whole lot. That might be something that they have to scheme for in practice. Try it. See what he can do. See if that's a distinct possibility that he can get off the ball and off the line of scrimmage if press man is there. So that is the 5th round pick I took at 149. Now, once again, they also have 5th round pick at 166. That's another one of those picks from Philly. With that pick, I took Jack Driscoll, the offensive tackle out of Auburn. Once again, I know that the Lions signed, Hal Vaitai, and they still Taylor Decker's still on the team, and Terrell Crosby's still there. But this is a guy, he's 6'5", 300 pounds, and he seems, watching his video, he seems athletic enough where he could play the interior guard spot as well as one of the tackle spots. So he is one of those guys that multiple positions that seem what the Lions do like when they are taking offensive linemen. They can, plug and play if guys get injured, if something happens, they can use this guy and put him in there. Now, once again, I know the Lions, they signed Ibushi, they got Bo Benchwall that they had on the practice squad last year, so he may be in line. Wiggins is back, Joe Dahl is back. Like I just said, Terrell Crosby's still there. They got Hal Vaitai and Taylor Decker, and so taking him, I don't know. It could be one of those things where it's just a crowded, a room for offensive linemen, but it could be one of those guys where if he's able to play multiple position, he does a good job. It seemed like from watching his tape that he did a decent job getting out to the second level to block the linebackers or the box safety. He did a pretty decent job at that, especially coming out of Auburn, facing some of those really good defenses that Auburn faces. Alabama, LSU, Texas A&M. I know there's times where I kind of downplay the SEC, but let's face it, the SEC has some great athletes, especially on defense, and Jack Driscoll did a pretty decent job getting out to that second level and doing blocks. Couple things he does have, though. This is pure numbers, and you can't really, everybody says you can't measure heart, but you can measure other things. He has short arms. I know that was one knock that the Lions all Lions fans always talked about Riley Reif, is that he had short arms, especially for a tackle. And there's sometimes with his short arms, even with his size, he doesn't seem, he's not as strong, maybe. He just doesn't seem as strong as you'd like, especially the one-on-ones, pushing guys back, being a size for an offensive tackle. He seemed at some points he would get beat, would get pushed back, especially on a bull rush, not necessarily on, on a stunt, picking up a blitz or something like that, but just a straight bull rush. It seemed like he would get pushed back at times as well. So, and we all know, once again, in the pros, going against those strong defensive tackles, those quick, big, strong defensive ends, that can happen to you. You can get put on skates really quick. But being a guy that's versatile to get through the different offensive line positions and being able to go out and pick up the second level at blocking, that might be something the Lions are looking for there. Once again, these are guys that just kind of fell to me as I was doing my draft, not like who I think are the best of the best, but this is what I thought the best was available at the time. So, got a couple more picks here. In round 6, I looked at, I thought about Robert Windsor. He's the defensive tackle out of Penn State. Now, he's 6'3". It's tall, but he's only 295 pounds. This is one of those guys, when I was looking through and what fell to me, I was just kind of like, he's there. They could use more help on defensive tackle. He's a little smaller than what the Lions generally like. But he's one of those guys. He's another high motor guy. He works really hard. He's one of those guys that Derek likes to talk about and say, like, they're hungry. They want to prove themselves because people have disproved them. Now, Robert Windsor went to Penn State, and Penn State had a lot of good defenders on that team, so he kind of gets overlooked a little bit. But he is a hard worker, and he's from the video, he looked pretty agile for being one of those guys that are down low. Once again, maybe because of his size, being only at 295 pounds. He looks a little quicker than the bigger guys that he's playing around. So with that being said, like I just mentioned, he might not be as big as what the Lions would like. But he seemed to be a little better, graded out better than what kind of was left there for me at the 6th round. So it's one of those guys I'm like, he could end up being just a camp body. We've talked about that, but still, he works hard. Could be that young, hungry guy that the Lions and Derek often talks about, get him on the team, let them prove themselves that they got something to prove, play with a little bit of chip on their shoulder, and we can go from there. Now, the last pick was the round 7. That's 235, and this is one pick that we got from New England. And Derek, this one's for you. I know how much you like punters, so I looked at Michael Turk, the punter from Arizona State. Now, with Michael Turk, he's 6'1", 228 pounds, and I know being a punter, we all care about his 40 time, so he runs a 4.79, 40. Not for sure if he'll ever have to sprint down the field in front of everybody to make a tackle, but, we do have his 40 time here, so that's good. The biggest thing about Michael Turk, I know family members, so it's training, but his uncle Matt Turk, played in the NFL for a number of years and was an excellent punter, so he has a good bloodline there. He's got a very strong leg as well. I saw the Arizona State, Michigan State game. I watched that, and this guy can punt the ball. He can boom it. He's got a big booming leg, and it showed off a little more down at Arizona State. I know some of his tapes down there. It's a little drier air. The ball's going to carry a little more. But no, even playing up in the Northwest, seeing some of the games that he had up in the Northwest up there, he can really boom the ball out there. So, looking to replace Sam Martin, one of Derek's favorite players. So Michael Turk, I took him in the 7th round. A couple things that, are knocks against him, especially in the pros, and this can really hurt. Like I said, he has a big booming leg. Sometimes he can outkick his coverage, and that can be really tough to do, especially in the pros. You get those good return guys. If they have a lot of space to get their momentum going, they're going to get past the first line, and they can be in the open. And with that being said, a lot of times the punter is the last line of defense, making a guy move, pushing him out of bounds, slowing him up just a little bit, that somebody can catch the punt returner from behind. There's times where Michael Turk just doesn't look comfortable out there. When you're saying that guy looks like a kicker or punter trying to make a tackle, he looks like a kicker or punter trying to make a tackle. It looks like cement feet. He's not quick. It's just one little quick move, and the guy was by him a couple times, and that happens. And I realize they don't practice a lot of the open field tackling, but still, it's a nice thing to have, if your punter can at least make a tackle. I'm not talking Ray Guy here, but still, a guy that can make a tackle. And then also watching some of his games, I don't know if it had anything to do with him playing at Arizona State, once again, where the ball would carry a little more. he seemed to struggle at times with the directional punts. If you're trying to pin somebody deep, it was either kicked out of bounds, it went out of bounds a lot earlier than what you'd be looking for. If you're trying to pin somebody, inside the 20 or even inside the 10, it seemed to be up the line a little more. Or if he's trying to get inside the 10, it seemed like a lot of them would just boom into the end zone. So once again, I've never been a punter. I don't coach them. I don't even know a special teams coach that coaches them. So that would have to be something you'd have to work on a little more, because that was another knock that we always had on Sam Martin. In a big situation, a big time, he would either boot the ball, short out of bounds, or if we wanted to pin him inside the 10, it would seem to be going, boomed out the back of the end zone. So that would also be something that we could work on there. They could look to work on as well. So Michael Turk, once again looking to replace the punter since the Lions haven't signed one yet. I was looking at him. So once again, just to recap the draft I did, once again it was just the straight up picks with no trades. Round 1 took Jeff Okudah, the cornerback of Ohio State, at number 3. Round 2 at number 35, I had Neville Gallimore, the defensive tackle out of Oklahoma. Round 3 at number 67, took Cam Akers, the running back out of Florida State. And also in the 3rd round at number 85, the pick from Philly, once again took Ben Bredesen, the offensive guard out of Michigan. Round 4, pick 109, Khalid Kareem, the defensive end out of Notre Dame. Round 5, pick 149, had KJ Hill, the wide receiver out of Ohio State. And then the next pick in the 5th round at 166, had this is another pick from Philly, had Jack Driscoll, the offensive tackle out of Auburn. Round 6, pick 182, Robert Windsor, the defensive tackle out of Penn State. And then round 7, finishing up the draft at number 235, this pick from New England had Michael Turk, the punter out of Arizona State. Once again, I'll put that draft out there on Twitter for everybody. If anybody has any comments, likes, dislikes, please let me know. That's at Grifka, DKC. That's at GRIFKA, DKC. Or feel free to call in the line at 989-272-3484 and leave a text or call in. Let me know what you think about this draft. So once again, draft season's almost upon us. One thing we'll have to touch on later. I always like to do drafts of ghost of drafts past and what the Lions could have had. Me and Derek will probably touch base on that really quick, maybe here and there at some point. That's just a little bit of a teaser out there that we could do, that we have coming up. And I know me and Derek will also be doing more mock drafts here for everybody, and especially right now with everybody moving up and down the boards. It's hard to peg, like Derek always says. I want to give him kudos on this. Once you think you got the draft figured out, once you think a team's going to do, it doesn't happen that way, and everybody's confused, and everybody's left scratching their head. So once again, everybody, I appreciate everybody listening. And once again, it's Friday, and just to let you know, I do not have anything else for you guys today, so that would be a big nope. And once again, drink it in, man, and everybody enjoy the Easter weekend. Everybody, thanks for listening. Bye.
Pack the bags, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.